Hey Kidventure kiddos, it's Miss Ashley and I just wanted to check in with you, see how your week's going and tell you how my week has gone. And so one of the things I was thinking about today is that you and I were created to be in relationship with God and relationship with others. And so what does that look like? A lot of times when we think about relationships with God and with others, we think about hanging out with them and doing things with them. But one of the things that I think relationships are really important for is because we can be honest with each other and we can tell each other how we feel and what's going on and what bothers us, what makes us happy, what makes us sad. And so I was going to share with you just how my day was so that you could see how you could ask somebody else and you could share with them how your day was, kind of like a little check-in. And so I was going to tell you some things that made me happy today, some things that made me sad today, and some things that made me angry. So I needed to get up this morning. We got a phone call that Mr. Jake's dad needed some clothes, and he lives in a nursing home, and he needed some things, and we were going to be able to drop him off. He needed some clothes and stuff. And so I went into Walmart, and on my way through Walmart to get clothes, I saw some flowers. And I like flowers, I like plants, and they make me happy. And so I bought some ferns. You can see this one here, and I bought some plants. And that's one thing that made me happy today, was getting to buy a fern. It sounds silly, but I like them, and I enjoy sitting out on my front porch and looking at them. So that was something that made me happy. But then while I was in Walmart, I saw some people who were just not being very nice to each other. They were arguing and treating each other not very kindly, and it just made me sad. It made me angry too. I was really angry at how somebody could treat somebody the way that they did over not getting an item that they wanted at the store. And so that made me really angry. And then I got home and we went to go take the items to Mr. Jake's dad. And that made me sad because we didn't get to go in, because you couldn't get to go in and see him. So we got to see him through the door, and his memory's kind of bad, and he was having a hard time understanding why he couldn't open the door and see us. And so that was sad. And so anyways, those are just my emotions for today. And all of us have emotions. They're not good, they're not bad, they just are what they are. But we don't have to shove them, and we don't have to pretend like we don't have them. We can tell somebody and we can share that with them. But also it's important to be a good friend in that way and ask other people around you, maybe the people in your family or a friend, how they're doing. And so that leads me to, how do we tell God how we're feeling? And so I wanted to read a quick short story to you about how to pray, because when we pray, that is us talking to God. It's just us having communication. And so this is what this is called the Jesus Storybook, and I have permission to read this book, and it's called How to Pray, and Jesus teaches people about prayer. All right, so in those days, there were some very extra super holy people, or at least that's what they thought. And they were called Pharisees. Every day they would stand out there in the middle of the street and pray out loud with big, extra, super holy voices. They really weren't praying so much as they were just showing off. They used lots of special words that were so clever that no one understood what they meant. People were walking by, would stop, and they would stare, which might sound rude, except that's exactly what those extra super holy people wanted. They wanted everyone to say, "Look at them, they're so holy. God must love those people the best." Now, you and I both know they were wrong. God doesn't love super holy people, but the people walking by weren't so sure. Perhaps you did have a very really clever or good or important for God to love you, but perhaps you had to know lots of difficult, clever words to speak to God. So one day, Jesus decided he was going to teach the people how to pray. And he said, when you pray, don't pray like those extra super holy people. They think if they say lots of words, God will hear them. But it's not because you're so clever or good or important that God will listen to you. God listens to you because he loves you. Did you know that God is always listening to you? Did you know that God can hear your quietest, deepest whisper inside your heart even before you start to say it? because God knows exactly what you need even before you ask Him, Jesus told them. You see, God just can't wait to give you all that you need. So you don't need to use long, big, special words. You don't have to use a special voice. You just have to talk. So when you pray, pray with a normal voice, just like you were talking to someone that you love very much. So today I want to encourage you, when you're at home, maybe sit down with somebody that you love, or make a phone call to somebody that you love and tell them how your day was, how your emotions were, what made you happy, what made you sad, what made you angry, what made you frustrated. But then be a good friend and ask them. And then secondly, if you don't have anybody to talk to, and even if you do, remember that God hears you and He wants you to talk to Him. He wants you to pray to Him. And that's simply just talking to God. I hope you guys have a good week. Bye.